A very warm welcome to Suzuka for rounds 5 and 6 of the Japan Cup for 2024. We kicked off the season at Sugo, went to Fuji. We're here and we're going to Okayama at the end of August to settle the outcome of the championship. The form has been quite clear. We've had two crews that have won 2 races apiece. But will it be the same story here at Suzuka Circuit? Wonderful day, hot, you can see the sea. 35 degrees air temperature thereabouts, 46. It's hardly changed since about 9 o'clock this morning. Humid too, so track is warm, drivers are warm, the crews are warm. It's a 1-hour race with a mandatory pit stop halfway through, so the pit crews will be on their toes as well, but any race here is a gift. 5.8 kilometers of 18 turns, including the wonderful S curves, the tricky Degners, the long spoon curve onto that in straight that brings you back 130R and complete it with the Casio Triangle. What a great circuit. So, that's the shape of the lap. Let's take a look at it from a driver's point of view, with the driver's eye view of the circuit.
皆さんこんにちは、563号車 ANR with BSR の根本裕樹です。今日は鈴鹿サーキットの一周を皆様にお届けしたいと思います。でこの週は、練習走行の前半で途中で雨が降ってきたのでちょっとリスキーな週なんですけれども、1コーナーしっかりとブレーキングをして、僕のイメージではスムーズにターンインをしていって、この2個目でなるべくアンダーステアを出さないように気をつけながらしています。 S 字、これが結構トリッキーで雨が降ってきたのでちょっと3つ目でオーバーステアが出たんですが、ここもなるべく高いスピードでスムーズに抜けたいっていうところなんですけれども、この時はね雨が降ってきてちょっとあわやという週でした。このダンロップを全開で抜けていってレグナーカーブに入ってきまして、ここでフロントスクリーンに雨がかなり落ちてきたのでここから先少し丁寧に走ってますが、レグナーカーブポルシェをオーバーテイクして、しっかりと2個目もハードブレーキで立ち上がり重視を意識して加速をしていきます。ヘアピンカーブも僕はこの右カーブ終わった瞬間にハードブレーキをしてボトムスピードをなるべく落とさないように気をつけながら、そして立ち上がりはアウト側の縁石しっかり使って、このスプーンカーブに向けて全開で駆け抜けていくっていうことを意識をしています。 スプーンカーブも雨粒がちょっと見えてたのでね、ちょっとブレーキング手前になってしまったんですが、ここは思っている以上にハードブレーキをして、ターンインしていきます。で1コーナー2コーナーと一緒でこの2個目にアンダーステアを出さないように気をつけつつ、トラックリミットギリギリまで使って、バックストレートに入っていきます。でこの先の 130R は GT3 では、割とブレーキングしてっていう感じなんですけれども、少しでも高い車速で曲がれるように、この時は5速に落としてますけど、おそらくレース中予選は6速でいくと。で 110m ぐらいでしっかりとハードブレーキング、縁石をしっかりと使いながら、メインストレートまでトラクションをかけて加速をしていきます。
Well, expert guide around the lap, Yuki Nomoto, but the grid's pretty busy. Let's go down and join Amy. She's with Bingo Racing and Motoki.
So it is very, very hot here. There is barely wind, so it is steaming with the humidity out here. Let's have a chat with Motoki. Motoki 選手、武井選手 P1 からのスタートになると思うんですけれども、本当に彼の走りを今シーズン見てると、もうトランスフォーマーのごとくぐいぐいと、はい、成長してるかと思うんですけど、Motoki 選手から見てどうですか、彼の走り。
いや、もうとてもやっぱりずっと尊敬する先輩でもあり、ドライバーとしても全然尊敬できるし、本当になんか僕が知り合った頃からもと比べてもだんだん速くなっている感じがするので非常に楽しみですね。
今日のレース、P1 スタートですけれども、どこ目指して走りますか？
もちろんもうこのままのポジションを、武井さんをこのままちょっと後ろとちょっと差を、ちょっと開いて帰ってきてくれると思うんで、僕はそれを守りつつ、このポジションのままゴールしたいと思います。
期待してます。頑張ってください。 So first of all, about Takei, who is in the car right now, he has a lot of respect to him, and he really looks up to him. How he is gradually growing in his driving skills and everything. So he is very, very sure that he will come back with P1, and then he can also do his best so that they land up on the podium. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Very colourful combination. The Bingo Racing crew sitting on pole position, and lots of runners. The Comet Racing Ferrari, look at that. That was constantly seeking pole position, and it had its various problems, but certainly a tumble in each of the sessions. But we've got Bingo on pole, and of course, totally different grid come tomorrow when it will be shaken, and not stirred. Car 90. But we've got a real mix, right? We've got GT3 runners, we've got 2 GTC class cars, only due to have 1, and then a lot of GT4s. We saw the Comet Racing Ferrari, so let's go down. Amy has caught up with Yusuke Yamasaki at Comet Racing.
With Yamasaki, whose partner is starting front row, 山崎選手、ここ鈴鹿2年前を思い出すレースがあるかと思いますけど、いいね気持ちでも走れるところだと思うんですけれども、今日フロントロースタート、どんなレース見せたいですか？
とりあえずね、アマで、1回はね優勝したいんで、辻子さんが頑張ってくれると思うんで、僕もしっかりしたレースをしようと思います。はい。
じゃあね、うまく襷をつないで山崎選手も頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
So yes, he is very much looking forward to a win. So he is crossing his fingers for him to come back safely so that he can do his own job as well.
Thank you. There's so much to consider a 1 hour race. It should be simple, but they've all got to focus on where their teammate is going to place them. The 96 car, that stands out however you look at it. It's one of 3 cars run by K-Tunes Racing, and to keep themselves on their toes, they've got this, the Lexus. They have a GT4 Toyota Supra, and the other car they've got in GT3 is a Ferrari, the 296, car number 98, that's been setting the pace this year. Had poles galore. That's Daisuke Yamawaki. He'll be kicking it off, and he shares that very, very nicely indeed with Shinichi Takagi. They keep each other on their toes through the course of this season so far. Sugo, Fuji, here Suzuka and Okayama. 2 races at each of those. Exactly the same format as Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia events. And I tell you what, one person down on the grid really deserves a lot of applause because he does it all on his own. Some Team Uematsu, Tadeo Uematsu, and his great-looking McLaren. He's down with Amy.
上松選手、ソロドライバーということで、ファーストスティントもセカンドスティントもご自身の担当、この暑さの中、体力的にどうでしょう、大丈夫なんですか？
寒いぐらいはい。
でもね、いつも本当素晴らしい走り見せてるかと思うんですけれども、今日は目指せどこですか？
いやもちろんやっぱり4連勝してきてるので5連勝したいですよね。応援してくれる人がいっぱいいるのでそれに応えたい、それだけですよね。ただ本当に今強がりましたけど、ちょっと最後まで持つか不安だよね。
大丈夫です。上松選手ならできるんで。
頑張ります。
応援してるんで頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。
So I asked him, as a solo driver, isn't it a little bit too hot in there? And he's like, oh no, it feels a little bit cold. And so yeah, he's very confident about his driving. Where he's looking at is the 5th win because he already has 4 wins. So yeah, he's very positive about this race as well.
Thank you, Amy. Seems quite a character, Tadeu Uematsu, but clearly he doesn't need to go to the gym too much. He gets his workout in the car, but he'll be doing the race on his own. We've seen a couple of drivers do the same in Fanatec GT Asia, but Shinji Takai will be taking the start from pole position for Bingo Racing. Now here's a car we didn't expect to see this weekend. It's yellow, it's a Ferrari, it's running the GTC class. SRO Motorsports started the season running a Mercedes AMG in GT4, but an accident this week led to a sudden look around, and they've got this Ferrari 488 Challenge car, and they've got at least a battle in class because Gamma 83 Racing was the soulless car before in class. Sunrise Boulevard suddenly just sprung a real leap forward right at the end in qualifying, do very, very well in GT4. Didn't take pole though, that went to car number 38, the Toyota from Wakayama Toyota as well. So that got ahead of the second of the GTC runners. That was impressive. So the heat haze shimmering off the back. Let's go down to car number 50 and Masaki Kano for Wise Racing. We'll be talking to Amy.
The pole setter of GT4 加野選手、前回富士でねちょっと一歩及ばず優勝逃しちゃったんですけれども、今回またポールスタートで目指せどこでしょう。
いや、まあ優勝は本当に目指したいですし、今季初ポールなんですよ。そうなんですよ。なので、第一声、ね、からずっとこう来てるんですけど、やっとこう車もこう、ね、今年に対して合わせてもいけてるし、藤井選手がね本当に乗れてきてるんで、これポールからスタートしてなんとかね、ただ前回2位だったので10秒あるんでね、なんとかちょっとマージンも作っていきながら、なんとか優勝できるように、頑張ります。
ポールトゥウィン期待してます。
頑張ります。
頑張ってください。So it's hard to believe that this is apparently their first pole position, and he's very happy about it. And because what happened at Fuji was, they didn't really get what they wanted, so he is here for the pole to win. And also, Fuji, his partner, is gradually catching up with the driving, and he's very, very confident that they can do it this time. Back to you.
Thank you, Amy. Masaki Kano, reigning GT World Challenge Asia GT4 champion and Japan Cup GT4 champion. And of course, that's what he's aiming for this year, the Japan Cup title. Fifth on the grid, Run Up Sports with their Nissan. Is it going to be a double Nissan day? We've had Team Gojigen winning outright in the GT World Challenge earlier. And for Run Up Sports, they haven't been at the front end of class. Masaki Nishikawa and Atsushi Tanaka, but maybe today it will come their way. And another car we didn't expect to see, because D-Station Racing traditionally run in the GT3 class, the top class of the Japan Cup, but damage to one of their cars led to a shuffle in the D-Station Racing garage, and they brought out their GT4 spec Aston Martin this weekend. So we'll see how that one unfolds. So the front row, the Comet Racing Ferrari closer to us, starting from second place on the grid. The Bingo Racing Corvette will be starting from pole position. That is the view forward from Ferrari 296, sitting on the outside there of the front row. And then in behind, the Japan Cup field lines up, ready for 1 hour of racing. And the best of the GTC runners, you can see that yellow Ferrari on one side. The other one of the GTC runners looks far plainer. It's this one here. It's the number 83 Porsche from Gamma 83 Racing. Makoto Haga, like Tadeu Uematsu, will be doing the race solo. Now, if you want a story within a story, exceeding track limits cost car 98 its pole position, which was the K-Tunes Racing Ferrari that's grabbed all the pole positions so thus far this year. So at the 6th time of asking, it didn't manage it, and that was for overtaking under yellow flags. That's fallen back 5 places, and 2 other cars had their best times deleted for track limit excess, including the number 96 entry, the K-Tunes Racing Lexus. So K-Tunes Racing had locked out the front row, but with those penalties, we've got the Bingo Racing Corvette on pole position, and alongside Comet Racing, instead of being 4th, they end up being in 2nd overall, so good change for them. But that penalty, we'll look for the charge up the order from the 98 Ferrari. So that's been pushed down the grid, but certainly in terms of pace, it seems to be going the way of the Ferrari that's starting further down the order. That look for the white and black, almost camouflage liveried cars, the number 96. Lexus is starting 4th on the grid, and you have to look down to 7th on the grid for the number 98 Ferrari. Safety car will lead the field around. So it's Bingo Racing on pole position. Their Corvette will be started by Shinji Takai alongside Comet Racing. 2 stumbles, but they managed to get a front row position here for Yorikatsu Sujiko. Then we've got Tadeu Uematsu, who's just getting moving in the number 55 McLaren, who will be doing that solo. Then comes the slightly held back Lexus, punished for exceeding track limits. That's coming down the hill in 4th place into turn 1. Fifth place is the run-up Sports Nissan. Sixth place, the best of the GT3 runners and the second one in class, etc., etc. But the story in this race is going to be looking for the progress of the 98 Ferrari. So Shinji Takai on pole from Yorikatsu Suzuka. Second row, the McLaren Tadej Uematsu. The Lexus held back slightly, Kazunori Suinaga. He'll be exceeding track limits. Pole could have been his once his sister car had been moved away. Going on to row number 3, Masaki Nishikawa, the run-up Sports Nissan, and alongside the better place, the two GTC class runners, Kiwamu Katayama in the AMSA Motorsport Ferrari. Then comes Makoto Haga in the other GTC entry. And Yuki Fujii, we just heard from his teammate Masaki Kano, on pole in the GT4 class in his BMW. Daisuke Yamawaki did qualify on pole position for the third time of asking, but unfortunately he will be starting down in 9th position because of the penalty. Haridama Manopo, always at the front end, slightly delayed in qualifying in his GT4 Toyota. He will start in 10th place. 11th, D-Station Racing GT4 Aston Martin this time for Tatsuya Hoshino alongside Toshiyuki Ochiai for Wakayama Racing with his Toyota. Then we move back another row to row 7 of the 8, and it's Yoshitomo Makino for Sunrise Boulevard, and alongside new face this weekend, Miyu Katayama for the JBR McLaren team. And bringing up the rear, Yoshichika Nagai, K-Tunes Racing with their GT4 Toyota. So it could have been an all K-Tunes Racing front row. It's not. They've had their penalties, and it's the Bingo Racing Corvette that will start on pole position. All is set. And over the first race meeting, it was 2 wins from the 2 starts for Ukyo Sasahara and Shinji Takai for Bingo Racing in their Corvette. The second race meeting, Shinichi Takagi and Daisuke Yamawaki, they were the ones who took the 2 victories that weekend. Will we have 2 victories for any of the driver crews this weekend? I would suggest not. Most certainly because the number 98 K-Tunes Racing Ferrari is starting out of position. Can it come through to take victory? With 2 wins and 2 second places so far this year, they're looking very strong. Right, we're looking through the windscreen of the number 9 Bingo Racing Corvette. That will be starting on pole position. The Comet Racing Ferrari tucked in behind him, as he should be. They're going to be coming around, feeling the heat coming into their Pirelli tyres, waiting for the start of this race. Safety car will take them around for a second formation lap. There's nothing untoward in this, it's just simply the rules of the championship. And the race starts at the start of the second formation lap, so the clock no longer says 1 hour to go. As you can see, the top left of the screen, under where it says Japan Cup, 59 minutes and 35 seconds remain. So the race is on, but no move for the lead can be taken until they come around next time around, and no overtaking before the start-finish line. So Bingo Racing leading the way now, and just waiting for the real thunder to be unleashed. Shinji Takai, and tucked in behind Comet Racing Ferrari. And the drivers have been egged on in that team because they've got many-time GT3 winner Kei Cozzolino now as their competition director at Comet Racing. He's urging them to go faster the whole time. The cars at the back may look less extreme. That's because they're in GT4, but they do need to do their best to keep up as close as they can to the cars in front, because the safety car will be peeling off at the end of this lap and the race will be underway. They're all just exiting the Dunlop curves, going towards the Degners now behind the Lexus safety car. Seven different cars, 8 different cars in the top 8 positions. No, let's make, yes, 8 different cars. The first repetition is the Ferrari on the outside the front row for Comet Racing. It's the same model as number 98, but that's the car, the 296 GT3 of K-Tunes Racing, that I expect to mount a prodigious charge in this race. It's certainly got to. Championship leading combination, as I said, 2 second places in the opening round, 2 wins last time out at Fuji. So this is Yorikatsu Suzuka. He's our chauffeur, this car. This is starting second on the grid, the Comet Racing Ferrari. There it is in the light grey race livery. Unusual colour in racing, but actually stands out because no one else has got it in sort of rather strange way. But anyhow, there it is. looking very good indeed. The McLaren, not a dissimilar shape, tucked in behind. There we have in the middle of the order the yellow Ferrari. That's from the 488 Challenge at Ferrari. It's one of the two cars in GTC, but GT4, first pole. It's extraordinary for Wise Racing to have not had a pole before. They've always been competitive, but they're settling in very nicely with this BMW M4 GT4 for this year. Clock continues to count down. Just over 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes have now been consumed of 1 hour, but as soon as we get to the end of this lap and the cars are approaching 130R now, the front of the field being controlled by a safety car, pace car if you will at this point. For all the drivers, they know if the lights are out on the roof, particularly those at the front of the field, they can see that. They know that means all is good. All is set. All is ready for this race start. Drivers all doing their job. The 15 cars side by side in their 2x2 formations. 9 and 7, the Corvette and the Ferrari on the front row. Through the Casio triangle they go, but the car that's really going to intrigue me on the opening lap of the race will be the car starting down in 9th place. The number 98 Ferrari from K-Tunes Racing claimed yet another pole position. It was taken away from it, so that is why they're starting down in the pack. But it's Bingo Racing on pole position, waiting for the lights on the gantry to go green. Green we go, the release is coming. Where is the green? Wait for it, start-finish line is coming up. And now we're underway. You can hear the engine notes rising and the Bingo Racing Corvette bars clear. Good start there from Yorikatsu Suzuka in 2nd place, but not enough to disclose. You can listen to the rumble of that Corvette down the bottom of the hill. He goes through turn 1, turn 2. He's already got a big lead over Yorikatsu Suzuka, but certainly good escape being made by Shinji Takai. Tadeu Uematsu giving chase in 3rd place, up in 4th place, just taking a look. It's still the driver that started in 4th place. It's still the slightly pushed back down the grid, Kazunori Suinaga in the Lexus, but picking off the GTC runners, here comes number 98, the car that was the quickest but transgressed for overtaking under yellow flag, which is a real no-no. That's Daisuke Yamawaki pressing on. He's going to get towards the front as soon as he can. Doesn't want to take any risks though, but GT4 is looking very, very close. Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia. That's Haridama Manopo right on the tail of the BMW that's leading the class. So looking for progress, Daisuke Yamawaki has gone from 9th up to 6th in his Ferrari that had been fastest in qualifying. For the others, about being cautious. GT4, well, about as close as you can be. They've managed to get past Gamma 83 Racing's Porsche. And 38 and 39 having a very impressive scrap. Ochai and Manopo, but at the moment it's Ochiai who's got ahead, Toshiyuki Ochiai. There's a great view, this is looking forward. Through the windscreen of Haridama Manopo's Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia Supra GT4. Long straight, and then they can just see the BMW in front of them turning left into 130R, they're following suit. And our race leader is just the GT4 group goes into the Casio Triangle, has just crossed the start-finish line, going on to the 2nd racing lap with nearly 2 seconds advantage. It's Shinji Takai. He made that great start for Bingo Racing in the Corvette. Everyone else strung out behind. But the GT4 battle looking very busy indeed. And here it is, Masaki Kano leading the way in class. It's 8th place overall. D-Station Racing having a look at trying to depose Manopo. Doesn't quite manage to do so. Manopo gained a position and started and lost it, so he stays where he started this race in 10th place overall. But for D-Station Racing, should have been competing in the GT3 class with their GT3 Aston Martin Vantage, but that had to be passed on to the main team in the Fanatec GT Asia series because their car got damaged, so they had to root out the GT4 Aston Martin, but settling in very nicely with it. Right, what's happening at the front of the race? I can tell you what, Shinji Takai is leading, but his lead has been chopped. At the start of the lap, it was 1.8 seconds. Comet Racing Ferrari is getting closer and closer Tadeu Uematsu tucked in behind, and then a problem for Bingo Racing. He just suddenly pulled to one side. That's why he'd lost about 1.5 seconds the first part of the lap. He's got a problem, and suddenly Comet Racing flashes into the lead as they were exiting the hairpin and running towards Spoon. And Bingo, oh yeah, look, the Corvette is just cruising around. Clearly looks like it's going to be visiting the pits, whether to retire or anything else. That means everyone else behind move up a position. That definitely means certainly better news for K-Tunes Racing. First and second on the grid. Tadeu Uematsu having a look for the lead. Don't think you want to do it just there, going through 130R, but maybe you want to do it at the next corner, which is the much tighter, less scary, but very, very tricky Casio triangle, the right, left, right combination. So at the start of this lap, Bingo Racing's Corvette was leading only by 1.8 seconds, and it came right down as the Comet Racing Ferrari closed in, and then the Corvette pulled to the side of the circuit. It's limping back to the pits. This battle was for second place, really. Now it's for the lead of the race. But they're going to have to look in their mirrors, because the duo behind them, car in third place, is the K-Tunes. Oh dear, there's the Corvette. Whatever the problem is, hopefully it's something they can fix, because we need it racing tomorrow, but hopefully it's something they can get fixed in short order now. Maybe it's just a puncture. That's why he's slowed. We'll find out shortly. We want this car back in the race. Again, another really firm fan favourite. Can't see any punctures. Working his way down the pit lane. There's a sloping pit lane here at Suzuka. The team is ready for him. The Transformers board is out. The battle for the lead of the race for now is the Comet Racing Ferrari ahead of Tadeu Uematsu's McLaren. But I'm looking for how close it's about 5-second gap behind them to the two K-Tunes Racing cars. That's sad sight. The Bingo Racing Corvette gets put back in the garage, hopefully just for today, no longer. But K-Tunes Racing, the Lexus in the hands of Kazunori Suinaga, and the Ferrari, potentially the quickest of the lot, the car that had set pole position before being penalised and pushed back to ninth. The Ferrari 296 GT3 of Daisuke Yamawaki has potential to be fastest overall, but they've got to catch up, and they're not managing to do that as yet. Last time around, they didn't match the pace. They did have a bit of traffic, but maybe it's better form than I expected from our leading duo. First and second look as though a change is on its way, but Tadeu Uematsu, who races at McLaren Solos, taking a look, biding his time. And at this stage in the race, I expected the K-Tunes Lexus in third place to be catching them, and certainly catching them at an even greater rate is the 98 Ferrari from K-Tunes Racing. But you know what? Unless they've decided simply to save their tyres, they are way slower, nearly 2 seconds a lap slower than this leading duo, with Suzuka leading the Comet Racing Ferrari, Tadeu Uematsu in the McLaren, keeping him very, very honest indeed, pressing super hard. Well, that does intrigue me at the lack of pace at the moment for the K-Tunes Racing Lexus and Ferrari. There will come the Lexus in the background of the shot, but the Ferrari's moved ahead. So on this lap, Yamawaki's hooked it up, and now he's started to make progress. Okay, I'm just hearing good news from the pit. Sorry for my little pause there. The Bingo Racing Corvette, they're trying to repair the gearbox. Well, that's not the work of a moment, certainly some of the crimes there, but good to have that news coming up from the pit lane, because when a car gets pushed back, having driven back under its own steam with no visual damage to the nose, the rear, the flanks of the car, you're left guessing. My guess of a puncture was wrong. I think they'd have rather preferred it if it had been a puncture, because they could have got it sorted, got it fixed, the car back out onto the track. But for now, Shinji Takai in the pit garage of the Bingo Racing Corvette. And the car that's going to be making the best progress, I would suggest, Race progression chart there is from 9th up much closer to the front. It's up to third place now. On this lap, it's just moved up from 4th to 3rd, going past teammates Suinaga's Lexus, and I'll be interested to see what sort of lap pace it can manage, because the front-running car, the Comet Racing Ferrari, 2 minutes 6.7 seconds last lap. This one, half a second quicker, 2 minutes 6.2, finding great chunks of performance. Maybe actually had been slightly delayed behind teammate Suinaga, Kazunori Suinaga, but now free from constraint. Still in 3rd place, mind. We're going to have Yamawaki getting closer and closer to our pace setters. There's the Bingo Racing Callaway Corvette. Beautiful car, lovely livery, super bright, but ugly as can be because it's sitting in the pit garage. A race car is only attractive when it's on the move. And hopefully the crew at Bingo Racing can get it going. But for Comet Racing, it's so evenly matched ahead of the race. 0.68 of a second was the margin of advantage for the Ferrari over the chasing McLaren. It looks to be much the same at this point. Tadao Uematsu sort of kicking the tail of the McLaren round a little bit as he exited the hairpin. In GT4 though, it's this car, number 50 from Wise Racing, leading by 1.8 seconds at the moment over the Wakayama Toyota, run by Hojas Racing with Toshiyuki Achai at the wheel of that. So they're 1st and 2nd in GT4. And also the GT4 runners have picked their way past both of the GTC cars. Sorry, one of them haven't gone past the Pro-Am entry, which is the number 16 AMSA Motorsport Ferrari, but they've certainly got ahead of Porsche number 83 with Makoto Haga. Just over 10 minutes time until the drivers can come in and make their pit stop, should they do so. The pit window will be open for 10 minutes. Cars we're looking at now, car number 38. That is the GT4 2nd place car in class. That's a white Toyota with the green and black splodges on its flank. The class leader is the BMW, just going out of the bottom left-hand side of your shot. That's Wise Racing's BMW. Braking hard for the Casio Triangle, the scenes of so many scraps over the years. Think very much of Prost and Senna whenever I think of that one. 2 years running, they had what we wouldn't call fun just there. Now, fastest time of the race so far, 2 minutes 6.2. All right, already getting warnings for cars exceeding track limits. Car 47 is the one that's being looked at. That's the D-Station Racing Aston Martin running in GT4 this weekend. So it's Hoshino at the wheel of that. Tatsuya Hoshino, it's in the Hoshino family team. So, car number 98, still pressing on, still trying to catch up, and just banged in the fastest first sector of anyone, but he's 6.7 seconds down on the race leading fellow Ferrari, the 296 of Comet Racing. Making ground, but not really that fast. Oh, Bingo Racing back out onto the circuit. That's very good news. So, anytime you have to start getting into the innards to check something on the gearbox, it can take a while, but a lot of these cars are increasingly designed to make the parts that tend to go wrong as accessible as they can. So that's a good job from Bingo Racing. A lap down they may be, in fact probably 2 laps down, 3 laps down now, yes, because our race leading Comet Racing Ferrari just put another lap on the board, 7 laps on the board, 1.2 seconds clear of Tadao Uematsu. So gradually, just gradually, the solo driver is falling off the tail of the race leader. Makoto Haga moving around, trying to catch the toe off the GT4 BMW. And again, you'd expect more pace from a GCC category car. It's basically open to Porsche Cup cars and Ferrari Challenge cars. And that was used to good effect. So the gap between these two drivers has been staying fairly stable. First and second gap, 1.2 seconds last time around, but they are being caught bit by bit. In fact, last lap, fastest lap of the race by over a second, was set by the number 98 K-Tunes Racing Ferrari driver, Daisuke Yamawaki. So, of course, he started down in 9th position. The car had taken pole position, unfortunately had transgressed and overtaken under yellow flags, which is definitely not the sort of thing the race stewards expect you to be doing. So the punishment was harsh, but I would suggest fairly fair. And now, there we are, in third a few laps ago, ahead of the sister K-Tunes Racing Lexus, has dropped that just by a huge margin. And now trying to hunt down the first two. So look for the flash in the background. There is the chasing Ferrari. 2 second places and 2 wins. That was the second places at Sugo, the victories at Fuji. Thought they had pole position here for race 1, for this race. They got it for race 2, but then their pole for race 1 taken away, thus starting down the order. Right, the gap now down to 3.3 seconds between second and third, just 4 seconds on the nose between the race-leading Comet Racing Ferrari and the chasing and closing in K-Tunes Racing version of the 296 GT3. You can see 0.6 of a second gained on the race leader on lap 6, on lap 7, more than doubled that to 1.3 seconds, and even more the next time around. So this Ferrari, number 98, is coming towards the front end of the race. Does sort of look as though it could be in a class of its own. Its best lap, more than a second clear of the best lap of the race-leading car. In fact, the car in first, the Comet Racing Ferrari, and the McLaren giving chase in the hands of Tadeu Uematsu. Their best laps very, very close to each other, within 1/10 of a second. 2 minutes 6.5 seconds, but 2 minutes 5.4 seconds was the chasing Ferrari car, number 98. Pit window not open for another 4-5 minutes between friends, but then of course the drivers can come in and make their changes. But that always presents you with the question, so what happens with the driver who's running solo? What do? They come in, they don't get out of the car has to be stopped for the same amount of time, so nothing is lost, but they do come back on the track fully conversant with the track conditions, which may take other drivers several laps to learn, so that's huge help. Now, this lead battle, they can see in their rear view mirror. It's not so easy for Comet Racing, for Suzuka to see what's going on, but Yorikatsu's pit crew will be saying, yeah, you have got the McLaren tucked in behind. He's a threat, but he hasn't managed to pass you yet. Look behind him. You may only see his lights in your mirrors, but look behind him. There's the car that could be challenging for outright victory. There's the run-up. Sorry, I beg your pardon, the K-Tunes Racing Ferrari, and it's catching you, albeit bit by bit now. Yeah, a few laps ago, several handfuls of seconds were gained by the Ferrari. Now, it's getting harder for it to close in. 2.5 seconds between first and third. Gap is coming down. I'm just looking at some timing intervals there. It's down to 2.5 seconds from first to third, almost all in the shot there in the background, getting closer and closer. Behind that McLaren in second place is Yamawaki, closing in. He'll probably get pretty much onto their tail and then almost have to hand over to his teammate, but Yamawaki very, very handy, really taken to this 296 GT3 with a lot of style. You wonder if Tadeu Uematsu in second place in the McLaren is actually faster than the Comet Racing Ferrari. He's closed in several times, but that Comet Racing 296 GT3 is still there at the front of the field, with a margin of just over half a second. At certain points on the circuit, like here, the McLaren seems to have a bit more flow, and that's quite handy as they work their way out of the exit of Spoon Curve, run over the crest in the hill, and all along the Ferrari is closing in little by little by little. 2/10 here, 2/10 there. Traffic is about to be an issue. Tadao Uematsu, well, wasn't close enough to take a look, and they can see the tail enders of the field. The cars there first get a catch. And it's a GT4 class car, no guesses there. It's from K-Tunes Racing, it's their Toyota Supra. Now this is the view as we power down the hill in the Comet Racing Ferrari that's leading the race. And Yorikatsu Tsujiko not wanting to take too many guesses. And this is the opportunity for Tadao Uematsu, inside or outside, well, just not the side our race leader chose. Tadao Uematsu, who drives with a smile on his face, will be shifting his ears north. He'll be absolutely happy with that. He can see what was happening up ahead. The GT4 Toyota sort of ran out of options of where to go. Yoshishika Nagai sort of tried to put it one way. That went right across the nose of the erstwhile race leader. And Comet Racing no longer in the lead in their Ferrari. In fact, they might not be the best placed Ferrari in this race at the end of this lap, because here's the car giving chase, third position, now right onto the tail of a car that was in the lead outright at the end of the previous lap. Ooh, Tadao Uematsu must stay calm at this point. He's going to have to hope that Comet Racing can keep their Ferrari in second place, because the faster of the Ferraris is the 98 K-Tunes Racing Ferrari that's in third. It's closed right in. There was a little moment from Tadao there where his front end was washing away on the exit, wasn't very kind on his tyres up at the hairpin. Now this sweeping through Spoon Curve, it's close enough for the 98 Ferrari from K-Tunes Racing to close in. Let's take a look. This is the Comet Racing Ferrari, our race leader. Okay, through turn one, into turn two. And he's hoping the Toyota's seen him, will keep out of his way, but as he went one way, it just sat there, blocked him, and into the S's. Easy, easy job for the change of positions there. So McLaren leading from two Ferraris. Could be a GT race in many places around the world. GT3 has such a global spread. The Japan Cup getting its own races for the first time. Used to be part of the GT World Challenge Asia, but now it gets its own races. So that's certainly bringing in new faces, Japanese faces, and in fact drivers from all over Southeast Asia allowed to compete in this championship as well. Car 96 had been running well. Suinaga comes into the pits, but the pit window is open. That's coming from fourth place overall. And Kazunori Suinaga will be handing over as soon as he possibly can to Morio Nitta. And unlike the GT World Challenge race, there is plenty of space in the pit lane, so nobody should be able to complain they've been blocked by another driver. To a standstill, they come. It's like a good standard driver change. And motor racing cars really are hot places to be. You can see steam, a sort of heat haze when the door was opened. Out popped the driver, in pops a new one. So not such a nice environment to be clambering aboard. First, second and third, McLaren, Ferrari, Ferrari. This is what we've got here. Tadao Uematsu leads the way. Comet Racing just hanging on to second place overall. And it's a good defensive drive here from Yorikatsu Suzuka. But he's going to have to defend very hard indeed, because that 98 K-Tunes Racing Ferrari is getting onto his tail. Talking of Ferrari, here is the Ferrari Challenge car, the 488 Challenge car, and Kiwamu Katayama will be handing that over to Masahiko Inoue, son of his father, as they'd say, Taki Inoue. Uematsu leads the way for McLaren. Another car up ahead, looked like the JBR GT4 class McLaren. just going out of shot. Uematsu stays out, but the car's second and third, feeling a little bit bunched up behind that McLaren. It's coming in really rather slowly down towards the pit entry line, but as soon as that one pulls over, they would go. Right, Tadao Uematsu, he doesn't have a driver to hand over to, so he's going to just keep on going on his own, but he will have to come in and serve the mandatory minimum pit stop time. Comet Racing Ferrari looked as though, well, it took a while before the driver got out. We need to wonder if they weren't going to do a driver change, but we did have the other driver lined up, so Yusuke Yamasaki will be climbing in. Nice quick pit stop from SRO Motorsport. But, you know, it's funny for a team, you know, they're used to changing one sort of car, and this year they've been running Mercedes AMG, but here they are with something different. They're all slightly different when it comes to how you need to sort of handle them in a pit stop. So teams always have to be thinking very clearly. Bulk of the field sitting in this pit lane. Just remember, Bingo Racing lost a lot of laps. The car is back in the pits. It did its early laps when it led the race. After that brilliant start, had the gearbox problem, went back out, and has come back in again. But for a smoky exit from the Comet Racing Ferrari from its pit stop. Has the order been shuffled? Quite possibly, but still waiting. And we just had a change of positions in the pit lane. And again, good little battles, but the number 50 BMW changing position. Tadao Uematsu, here we have him here. He's going to have to make his pit stop sometime in the next 5 minutes. Effectively, the pit window closes in 5 minutes 40, but that will give him time for 2 more laps, but why not do it now? He doesn't have to sort of divide his stint. He just has to make his pit stop within that window because he's the driver who's running this race solo. All other drivers at this point can come in and just hand the car to their teammate, and often they're not very pleasant environments to get in, just someone else's heat in the car or the other residual heat. But how good is this pit stop going to be? Is it going to be quick enough from his team, Team Machina, to get him back out ahead of this car, the number 7 Comet Racing Ferrari, that was in second place before the pit stops? Sorry, the lead of the race before the pit stops, then of course got jumped when they were passing traffic and pushed back to second place, but then thereafter held on to that, being chased, of course, by the K-Tunes Racing Ferrari, number 98, but was doing enough to resist it. There's Tadao Uematsu's 720S McLaren up on its jacks. Where will it be coming out, and when will it be coming out of the pit lane? Has the pit stop been fast enough for Comet Racing with their number 7 Ferrari? Always seems so long when a car's sitting in the pits. It's back on the deck, that McLaren, waiting to be waved that all is clear. Oh dear, there's a car coming in slowly. It's the run-up Nissan. That has cost quite a few seconds. Was there some other reason why that car was being held? Of course, there's a minimum pit stop time, but as the Casio Triangle is negotiated by the Comet Racing Ferrari, it's pit stop complete. It's first flying lap about to be completed, and the McLaren's at pit exit. It's accelerating, can't break clear yet. Will it still be in the lead of the race? I think the Comet Racing Ferrari is going to get its nose in front, or is it? It's got to sweep around the outside, and it does just that. Has it dived in too deep into the corner? No, it hasn't. Job very well done. Yusuke Yamasaki there. Tadao Uematsu, well, he hasn't been handed over to. He doesn't like other people driving his car, so he does it all on his own, but the McLaren comes out in second place in that line. Just checking everybody else has made it into the pits and out of the pits. I think they all have. Yes, they have indeed. So that really was quite a gamble and gambit from the Comet Racing Ferrari. But it's worked because Tadao Uematsu is behind him. But also Morio Nitta in, I think, the Lexus, the K-Tunes Racing Lexus seems to have gained places in that mix. track limit warnings for car number 97, always worth watching out for. That's running in the Silver Am class of GT4. That's K-Tunes Racing's Toyota Supra. Talking K-Tunes Racing, their Lexus in the hands of Mario Nitta all over the tail of Uematsu's McLaren. Now, how tired is Tadeu Uematsu? Well, he's just run slightly off the circuit there. That might be indicative. I think he was looking in his mirrors, braked a little late, and this is the battle for second place. And he just handed it really remarkably easily to the chasing Mario Nitta. Quite a few drivers getting right out to the edge of the circuit on the way into 130R. Quite brave to do that. It will produce the fastest line. But right now, the number 7 Ferrari has got company, I think we could say. Comet Racing with Yusuke Yamasaki pushing on down the hill. They will come. Mario Nitta second, but it's the Comet Racing Ferrari in the lead of the race. They were desperate to get a good result, and it's looking very strong for them at the moment. But the speed that Mario's got in that Lexus is just at another level at the moment. He's just got to pick his moment. And behind them, only Tadeu Uematsu is out in third in the McLaren. He's 1.4 seconds further back, so just out the background of the shot. And he's got the 98 Ferrari that I expected would be in the lead of the race by now. Shinichi Takagi's at the wheel, but we do have a change at the front of the race because the sister K-Tunes Racing GT3 car, the Lexus, moved to the front. Mario Nitta makes his move, makes it stick, and Comet Racing going to have to just try and stay with him. There is the Comet Racing Ferrari. Mario Nitta looks like he's going to be able to pull away. Oh, little look there for a change for third place. Didn't happen, and K-Tunes Racing Ferrari driver just tucked in behind. Shinichi Takagi deciding discretion is the better part of valor. This is looking very good indeed. Japan Cup race, the GT3 cars expected to be at the front of the field. There were 6 of them. They are all in the top 6 positions. No, they're not. Because, of course, Shinji Takai has parked up the Bingo Racing Corvette. They were in the top 6 positions, but top 4 covered by 2.5 seconds. That'll do. And it's going to only get closer. Look, that move in the background. Tadeu Uematsu has been passed. As they sweep down to 130R. In fact, Tadeu Uematsu seems to have backed out of it really quite a lot. He was always going to lose ground to the number 98 Ferrari from K-Tunes Racing for Shinichi Takagi. He sort of made it really rather easy. But then again, you know, when you're doing the entire race, you're going to be tired. If you're doing half the race, like some of the others, most of the others, all of the others, then you've got a bit more energy. So I guess Tadeu is just being sensible at that point. But suddenly, because of that, the McLaren dropping back. There it is, number 5 on the screen, 55 on the door. The gap between first and fourth, remember, was 2.5 seconds. It's down out to 6.8 seconds now. So is there a visual problem with that car? I can't see. Race leader, Mario Nitta. And so far this year, the crew with the Lexus have had a fifth, a second and a fourth. Is it heading to victory? Well, let's find out. Leaders in GT4 Silver Am. That's car number 38, Wakayama Toyota. Leader in GT4 overall, though, car 38. And it's Takeshi Suehiro at the wheel of that. There we have their logo. Running quite comfortably, nearly 3 seconds clear of the BMW from Wise Racing, but it's a big question. We hear even in a race as short as an hour, you know, you just got to preserve your tyres, and a lot of drivers are wise to that. This is a circuit that works the tyres really pretty hard indeed. They're also running over a lot of the curbing here, which your tyres don't tend to like, particularly if you nick the inner wall. Right, GT4 Am in 11th position overall, car number 47, D-Station Racing in GT4 this weekend. Kenji Hama at the wheel of that. And I must say, in terms of race liveries, the D-Station Racing one with sort of dark metallic green with the light green sort of highlights, if you will, is one that really grows on me year on year. Looks all the more refined. Looks good when racing, looks very, very good indeed when standing still. But what looks best of all for K-Tunes Racing and the Lexus crew is their lead at the head of the race. The Comet Racing Ferrari is just about to be passed. Surely by the time they get to turn one, he won't be in second place anymore. He is not. Just riding around the track, taking a look at this battle. Sun quite low across the drivers' faces, catching them in the eyes as they go up the slope through the S's. That was the view through the windscreen of Comet Racing. It's Ferrari, there it is, now down in second position. And has lost a lot of ground in this lap because once in the lead, Mario Nitta is just opening the taps. He's best part of 5 seconds clear. Just set the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 3. Whoa, there it is. And there's the visual of the gap, the number 98 Ferrari. Started, remember, down in 9th place after its grid penalty, had qualified on pole position. But that has risen up the order to the very sharp end of the field. But it's the sister car that's leading the race. It's the K-Tunes Racing Lexus. And it's the K-Tunes Racing Ferrari taking chunks of time out of him on last lap, but previous laps losing any advantage he had. Thought for a second I spotted a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of the second place Ferrari, but I think it was actually a little bit of dust as he exited Spoon Corner. Certainly in terms of pace around this lap, he's looking very strong. In fact, has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, the fastest second sector of anyone, just waiting to complete the lap. 96 and 98. 96, the Lexus from K-Tune Racing, that's in the start-finish straight, just coming around the corner. In the background, the last corner is the Ferrari. And let's see who was quicker on that lap. The gap is 4.7 seconds between them. Well, that means it is coming down. Can Mario Nitta hang on? 20 minutes remain until the checkered flag can not only be unfurled, but it can be waved to end this race. So really for K-Tunes Racing and Mario Nitta leading it in their Lexus, then we can go. But right, let's go down to Amy, because she's working hard. Mario Nitta's leading the race in the K-Tunes Racing Lexus, but let's hear from his teammate Kazunori Suenaga.
末永選手、抜かれつ抜きつつっていうところですけれども、今のところトップ走行中でじわじわとシスターカーが後ろから来てますけど、この状況をどう読みますか？
まあどうにか新田さんにバトンを渡して、その後新田さんが追い上げてくれて、まあ今トップキープしてるんで、これはもうまさにKチューンズバトルなんで、今日は勝ちたいと思います。はい。この先も応援してますんで頑張ってください。はい、お願いします。
So as you can see on the screen, it is a K-Tunes battle today, and today he really wants to win this because the sister car has been winning a lot so far. That's what he said.
Thanks, Amy. I mean, they say there's nothing worse than losing to a teammate. Of course, in life there are worse things, but certainly it's always good to have a little bit of competition. The fact they're driving different cars, and in fact, we've just seen the third of the K-Tunes Racing cars. It's a baby. It's the Toyota GT4, the Supra. 3 K-Tunes Racing car in a row. It's the Ferrari here, the one that's not running in their regular race livery, not in the white and black, but in the red and black, that's giving chase. Is it closing in? Fastest lap of the race of anyone. Oh, the sister car got out of the way and almost drove off the track at the Casio Triangle. The GT4 Toyota, certainly they'll be thanking him for that. Wouldn't be thanking him if he'd fallen off, but here is the visual. First to second, it was 4.7 seconds, it's 4.3 seconds, fastest lap of the race. Still in the hands of the chasing Shinichi Takagi in the Ferrari, but a little bit traffic interrupted on that, I reckon. What's he got left? 18 minutes left in this race. A little bit of action down here. The Ferrari Challenge entry from SRO Motorsport, number 16. That is running in the GTC class and pressing on at the moment. He's got quite a margin of over Makoto Haga. In fact, so big I can't quite measure it at the moment, but having come here expecting to be competing with a Mercedes, that then got crashed in the meeting and entered instead in a Ferrari. The team has done very well to settle down and run something new to them, at least in this series in the Japan Cup. Quite a few drivers getting warned for track limit success, including the cars that are second and third in the GT4. So they've got to watch out, because you can collect warnings. You get to a certain number and they turn into that thing that's worse than a warning. It's called a punishment. All right, Tadeu Uematsu has just made his way past the Comet Racing Ferrari there, so getting the better of Yusuke Yamasaki. I must say, Tadeu Uematsu is really settling down very well. He's had a fourth, a third, and a second in the series so far in his McLaren, running all on his own. And looking strong. By moving up into third overall, he's moved into the head of the GT3 AM class, ahead of the Ferrari that he's just toppled, so that's been a good lap for him. Is the Ferrari fighting back though? The Comet Racing Ferrari, having been passed, is staying there or thereabouts on his tail. But I can tell you something for nothing, the gap between first and second looks like it's going to come down a bit more. It has. It went from 4.8 seconds to 4.2, now down to 3.6 seconds. Is there going to be enough time? As they always say, catching is one thing, passing is quite another. So I really thought, in terms of pace, that the K-Tunes Racing Lexus and the K-Tune Racing Ferrari would be flipped around in terms of pace, but this is being driven so well. The 96 Lexus makes its inimitable rumble around the circuit. And Morio Nitta is looking quite comfortable. The gap is coming down. Maybe he's got enough to stem the flow. Let's think about this. If they're lapping at just over 2 minutes a shot, we've got 15 minutes to go. That's 8 more laps. At a rate of gain at about 6/10. We can do some maths on that. That's going to be very close indeed, because he should get onto the tail of the Lexus, but whether he could pass is quite another thing. It's not always an easy matter here at Suzuka, but Shinichi Takagi, I'm sure, will give his all. And then, of course, there's a question of where you find the GT4 traffic. No one's trying to overtake this at the moment. This is the GT4 traffic, because it's the battle for lead of class. The 38 Toyota hangs on at the moment with its second driver on board. All the second drivers driving at the moment, that's Takeshi Suehiro, but certainly he's being pushed very, very hard indeed by Masaki Kano. Kano in the Wise Racing BMW. Lovely little compression just before the cars turn under the bridge, going through the second Degner, but the barriers are very close at hand on the exit of the corner, so it really focuses the driver's mind. But once they're happy, you can just see tail being kicked around under acceleration. They're running in 8th and 9th positions behind Makoto Haga, who's running in the GTC class, but second in the overall GTC pattern, because some distance up the road ahead of him is the number 16 Ferrari Challenge car with Masataka Inoue at the wheel. And for Makoto Haga, the Gamma 83 Racing Porsche, in the Fuji round, he had everything to himself. Wasn't there at Sugo at the start of the season, but now he's got a second car to challenge him, and it's ahead of him on the road. He could also say, of course, I'm running in GTC AM, the other one's in GTC Pro Am. So, but let's enjoy this battle for GT4 honours. It's a question surely of when, not if, this order is going to change, because it's been Misaki Kano pushing so super hard, but sometimes when you make an overtaking bid and it doesn't work, you really do lose out. You don't just not get the position, you also lose momentum. But just about okay for Kano still right with the class-leading GT4 Toyota, having to run a wider line, slightly compromised line for both of them actually. In defending, the Toyota went a little deep into the corner and already slightly committed by overrunning it slightly was Kano in the BMW, but even Stevens, as they say, up the hill they go through the S's. Almost a kiss here, a touch there, but I think they've stayed away from each other's flanks. Real rasp of engines, some of the GT4 engine notes. Very, very, very impressive. Clearly, you know, pucker engines for the racing thereof. Masaki Kano, again, sometimes when you're in the chasing car, you just find yourselves slightly, not disorientated, you're looking so intently at the car in front, you overrun slightly, so a few curbs bounce there, but the M4 BMW seems to take them with, you know, real facility. So good scrap for this. Our race lead scrap is now down to 2.8 seconds. That continues to come down, but the clock does too. Look, top of the screen, just under where it says Japan Cup. 11 minutes and 45 seconds left until the checkered flag can come out. Will this GT4 battle stay in this order? Maybe, maybe not. But Masaki Kano is certainly showing by the way he's riding the curbs where he feels he needs to, that he's far from finished. So out of the spoon curve, suddenly the Toyota is very punchy out of the corner. Then as you get down the straight, you see a little advantage being clawed back by the BMW in its wake. But again, when you look at this car, they look as though they're racing almost in a different class of racing, because the Toyota Supra looks lower, leaner. But the BMW M4 GT4 is a very, very potent tool. So Masaki Kano will be enjoying the chase at the moment. Traffic is about to go across the nose of our race-leading K-Tunes Lexus up at Spoon Curve. That's allowing the sister Ferrari close right on his tail. Can't get any closer to this battle for GT4 though. Over the start-finish line, the gap between them 0.4 of a second by the time they get to turn one. I reckon Masaki Kano was a little bit closer, but again his BMW washed away in the wake behind that Toyota that's leading the class. And leading it very well indeed. Not comfortably, it's far from comfortable when you're being pushed like this, but Wakayama Toyota with Hojas Racing will be delighted with the performance there from Takeshi Suehiro. For once, the message screen at the bottom of one of my monitors does not have driver warnings to any particular cars, so hopefully the drivers are behaving and staying between the white lines. If you wonder what I'm talking about, around the outside of any racing circuit, marking the edge of the circuit, is a white line. You can have one set of wheels over it, no problem. If you've got both sets of wheels outside the white line at the edge of the circuit, you're skirting with danger, no doubt, but you're also, because you're running further off the racing line, but also you will be noticed for track limits. 2 wheels within, good. 4 wheels without, no, not so good. Punishment coming your way. Right, first and second had a gaggle of traffic. They've managed to negotiate it. Gap between them 2.6 seconds, but slightly slower lap for the pair of them. It could well be also at this point in the race their racing rubber is starting to feel a little tired. Under 10 minutes to go. Well, they've very nearly got to the end of the race, but they've still got enough time for another 4, possibly 5 laps before they see the checker. And again, dominant in GTC, Makoto Haga for Gamma 83 Racing, but then again at Fuji they were the only car in class. This time around they've got the number 16 Ferrari from SRO Motorsport, and that's some distance up the track ahead of them. So Masaki Kano with the BMW continues to try pushing on down the hill, but our race leader is getting really close company. Morio Nitta is leading the way, but a couple of back markers need to be passed. Down to 130R they go. They've got the number 47 D-Station Racing Aston Martin between them. They'll pass that. Certainly the race leader Morio Nitta has done that before they get to the chicane. There he goes, and tucked in behind, also just having got past GT4 entry there. The Ferrari is through as well, just out of shot. There it is. So last time around 2.6 seconds between them. Looks well, I was going to say it looks it's come down. It's come down by just over half a second. That's almost 2 minutes flat. 2 minutes flat, I think, not 2 seconds flat between first and second, between Lexus and Ferrari. And also remember, the fastest lap of the race was set by the chasing Ferrari. 2 minutes 2.9 seconds. The best lap by the race-leading car, 0.4 of a second slower than that. So, doing the maths, we've got enough for 4 more laps, up by my reckoning. If he can make it at that pace, it's still not enough. Big question is, where's the next gaggle of traffic ahead of our first 2 cars? Well, there isn't really one for quite some while, because the car ahead of them on the track, car number 39, is just starting the long run to Spoon Curve, as they're only just crossing under the track, and now Mario Nitta just entering the hairpin midway around the lap. But this scrap for GT4 runners on our screen, caught for obvious reason, because it's a classic one. Using a slipstream or not using the slipstream, what are the drivers trying to do right here? Right on the tail of car 360, which is the run-up sports Nissan. Atsushi Tanaka, the driver at the wheel. I'll try one where you try the other. This surely is going to come to tears or blows, or is it going to be a great move from Masaki Kano, fighting for the lead of GT4, but he's been blocked nicely. But now, again, just mentioned a few minutes ago about track limits, and certainly the BMW driver, Masaki Kano, is dicing with picking up penalties. He's been off the track quite a few times in his attempts to get past, but I must say, Takeshi Suehiro is doing an absolutely sterling job in that number 38 Toyota Supra. He's not put a wheel out of line, and he's basically saying, you know, if you're coming past me, you've got to be inventive, but I worry inventive could lead to bodywork damage, but for now it hasn't. So one-time Super Taiku champion, a Japanese TCR champion, is showing his worth and his merit for Wakayama Toyota. But Masaki Kano is, you can almost feel the tension and the pressure, the aggression rising in his car. Desperate to get back and get them past, but when you've got a car and driver combination that's roughly equal to yours, it's very difficult at circuits, you know, to get your head around what you've got to do to get past. Clock continues to count down. 5 minutes left. Lead gap overall in this race continues to come down. 1.4 seconds between Mario Nitta leading the race in the K-Tunes Racing Lexus and the chasing Shinichi Takagi. Oh, the door was left open, or was a decision made there? Sudden change of position. No, brake too late. That's why he managed to get past. Well, that's real driver's reflexes there in GT4. For Wise Racing, they'll have to wait a little longer. They find it quite amusing. I think the Masaki Kano's starting not to see the funny side of the story at the moment. And we seem to have a McLaren stationary at the side of the circuit. It's Tadei Uematsu. There he is, just saw him on a tracker screen, not moving around. Oh no, this is the driver driving solo, running third, some distance off the back. Oh, he's going again. Okay, he's off the back of the first and second place battle. It's now down to 1.46 apart, but was 3 and a bit seconds clear of the Comet Racing Ferrari. Don't know why he suddenly stopped between Degner 1 and Degner 2. We saw him right at the edge of the circuit, but what caused that? So Takeshi Suehiro continues to take all the pressure, everything Masaki Kano can throw at him. And you wonder how much Kano is enjoying this scrap. He's clearly having a lot of fun, but look how wide he's going a lot of the time. I think he's getting a bit ragged in just trying to unseat, if you will, Takeshi Suehiro. This is the lead battle for GT4. And while they're doing that, they've got Seita Nonaka closing in. Here he is. He's had a much faster last handful of laps. He's lapping nearly 2 seconds a lap faster than he's done. So we've got our 3 cars in the first 3 positions of GT4 covered by about 2.2 seconds. But with lights flashing as Seita Nonaka closes the tail of that GT4 battle, he's got the race leader coming through. Lights flashing on the Lexus. 2 3/4 minutes remain. Surely he's got enough in hand. It's only down to 1.3 seconds. But when you see the gaggle of GT4 cars up ahead of you, you have to be thinking, come on, out of my way. I've got a real challenge. I've got my teammate in a Ferrari chasing after my Lexus. Can I hang on? Will you help me? Will you hinder me? That's what they have to question right now. Masaki Kano sort of being edged out of the way by Morio Nitta. Morio's going, come on, this is going to be a big result for us. The Lexus crew so far have finished 5th, 2nd and 4th, but a victory would be very, very nice indeed for them. Makoto Haga up ahead. So we've got a GTC runner, a GT4, now the GT3 in 2nd place in that group. Fastest car in the field at the moment, car 96. Morio Nitta. Multi-class racing has its attractions, but it does have cars running at different paces, and it's how you handle them that may give you victory or lead to failure. Important thing, the Lexus has got through, and the Ferrari, I really slightly feel there for Shinichi Takagi. The traffic didn't work for him, and surely with the gap between him and the race leader, Morio Nitta, out to 1.89 seconds, surely that's enough. Right, this should be the last lap of the race. 1 minute 30 left on the clock. And the driver sitting on a lead that's gone out rather than down. But no traffic between them, so not do or die, it's all or nothing. Shinichi Takagi, oh dearie me, the GT4 battle nearly undoing itself. They've caught the GTC 2nd place car, Makoto Haga's number 83 white Porsche, but I thought we were going to see the BMW spearing off the track. Got close, made a bid, didn't work. So Suzuka doing what it often does. You can run close to someone, but you've got to bide your time. But when a chance comes, you've got to grab it. And just there, that was bold from Takeshi Suehiro. Around the outside of Degner 2, that's diminishing returns. But luckily, the 83 Makoto Haga driven Porsche didn't run wide at the corner. Both the GT4 cars, no, when I say both, I mean all of them, gone past. Even a little nudge there from Seita Nonaka, the 3rd place GT4 car. It's the black and white and red livery Toyota of Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia. So what we've got now is, in the final lap of the race, our top 3 cars in GT4 covered by, I would suggest, about 1 1/4 seconds, with the fastest of them being the one at the back of the trio. It's going to close and close and close. Hasn't got much more time to close. The hour of racing is almost done. 3, 2, 1 seconds. Now the hour is up, and now Morio Nitta has just got to complete this lap and stay in front. He's only got the Casio triangle to do. He's got his teammate in the Ferrari tucked in behind, but not close enough to make a bid. So down in the pits, K-Tunes Racing will be delighted. They've got a 1-2 result coming their way. Both their drivers put back after qualifying. They qualified on the front row, but with the rumble, Kazunori Suenaga and his driver Morio Nitta will have a delightful result for them, because it will be victory here. But it was a race of chase. Who's going to finish where in GT4? And I'm actually delighted for Wakayama Toyota, Hojust Racing, sucking up all that pressure from the Wise BMW, the Wise Racing BMW. GTC, well, we know that's going to be won by this car, new for the weekend. Wasn't intending to be here, but damaged their Mercedes AMG meant that they had to find a car. SRO Motorsport found one, and it's this Ferrari Challenge 488, and they will take victory in class in that. So well done all around, racing and chasing. Victory for Morio Nitta from teammate Takagi. 0.8 of a second at the end of the race, but really at that point Morio Nitta had backed off. His Lexus had done enough. He could see all the rest. Comet Racing took 3rd place overall. Their Ferrari should have been Tadao Uematsu. Will Tadao get to the finish? He was pulling off. He's just going through the Casio triangle now, so he should come home in 4th place overall after whatever it was that caused him to be off at the side of the circuit between the 2 Degners. But victory, there's no doubt about it. Morio Nitta brought it home, and a great job started by Kazunori Suenaga. So all the drivers have taken the checkered flag, with the exception of the Bingo Racing Corvette that won the first 2 races of the season in Sugo. Didn't get to complete it here today. Had a gearbox problem and parked up in the pits after they'd attempted to get the car back onto the track. So Lexus, Ferrari. Ferrari was the order in GT3. The order for the 2 cars in GTC was this one, Ferrari. And second place in GTC going to Makoto Haga's Porsche. So the runners come back down in the afternoon sunshine. They'll be hot in their cockpits. It's been a very warm day. Warm is the understatement. It's been very, very sticky indeed. But they'll have to do it all over again tomorrow afternoon. And it's been a busy meeting. We've got historic racing to go as well. But what I really enjoyed in that race, we ended up with our victor winning by 0.8 of a second. We ended up with, I'm just double checking, what was the gap between the GT4 runners? In the end, 1.4 seconds, first to third in that class. So that was very impressive. But Tomorio Nitta coming in, he'll have a big smile on his face, and he's got victory in the first two Japan Cup races here at Suzuka, and I think it's a really good building block for what will follow tomorrow, Sunday here. And I think the racing was a real treat today. We only had the 15 cars starting the race, but they certainly put on a show. K-Tunes Racing, first and second. You look at them, they couldn't be more different. One is a white and black Lexus, they've taken victory. A red and black Ferrari has come home in second place, and the grey Ferrari of Comet Racing will take third overall. So lots of applause down there. And by winning the GT3 AM class in third place overall, sorry, by taking third place overall, GT3 AM has been won by Comet Racing. The 55 McLaren of Tadeu Uematsu did make it to the end in that class, but so the drivers have a little chat about what was happening in those closing laps, but teammates on different sides of a garage, but lots of hugging going on down there, so some happy faces. And just to reiterate, we had 2 different cars in GTC. The better placed them was 6th overall. That was the number 16 Ferrari for ABSA Motorsport, and that was shared this weekend. A bit of a surprise, the pair of them, by Kiwamu Katayama and Masataka Inoue. There's the Comet Racing Ferrari just arriving in the background. And GT4 in the end, very tight indeed. But a big chase at the end, and Seita Nonaka couldn't quite catch up to try and take second place, at least in class, but the top 3 cars covered by 1.4 seconds. That's competitive. And the GT4 AM class was won by D-Station Racing. Car number 47, Kenji Hama, taking victory in that class. So the winning duo being lined up, we'll hear their thoughts very shortly indeed. But every one of the cars, bar the Bingo Racing car, got to the finish, but it was K-Tunes Racing that took the outright victory. And let's go down and join Amy Izawa with the crew of the winning car, the 96 car, the Lexus from Kazunori Suinaga and Morio Nitta.
And we have the winners here, 新田選手、後ろから良き友、良きライバル、そして GT ではね、チームメイトの高木選手来てましたけれども、制しました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
湯で抱っこの状態で帰ってきましたけど、どんなレースでしたか。
序盤から多分あんまりハイペースでいっちゃうとタイヤが持たないことはなんとなく分かってたんですけど、そうは言っても前のね他のライバルの車たちをちょっと初めのうちに抜いとかないといけないんで、そこで手こずるわけにいかないっていうんでちょっとプッシュしたらかなりちょっとタイヤが後半厳しくなっちゃって、フェラーリは速いです。
まあでもね、勝ちということでおめでとうございました。So at his stint he had to overtake the cars in front of him, so he pushed really hard, and then the tires kind of did not do as well as the race went to the end, but he's very happy that he
Well, clearly keeping the tyres sweet, very, very important there. And great job done. Sorry for the interview just suddenly cutting out there, but what you could hear was the emotion and the sort of fatigue of Mario Nitta, because it's emotional, it's intellectually stimulating as well as just physically demanding. And he had to nurse those tyres, but he did a very good job and was really, really positive in traffic. So he and Mario Nitta with the victory there. Hard fought as well because the sister car. But let's go back down to Amy. We're back with Signal with our winning duo.
はい、そして末永選手、Kチューンバトルを制しました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
今のお気持ち教えてください。
いやー、今日は新田さんがやってくれると思ってたんで、信じてたんで、かっこよかったです。ありがとうございます。
末永さんのパートの時も今までにないスピードで走ってくれて、ちょっと僕たちがドキドキする予選からドキドキするような速さ見せてくれたんで、なんとか優勝をプレゼントしたいなと思いまして頑張ります。
完璧な優勝でした。たくさんパーティーハード、おめでとうございました。So Suenaga as well, his stint was also quite tough, but he said thank you very much to Nitta because he did a great job. But then Nitta said, yeah, Suenaga, you also did a great job. So I think they're both happy about each other. Back to you.
Amy, thank you very much. And their results have been getting better through the course of this Japan Cup season. They'd peaked before here with the second place in the first race at Fuji, but here they've taken their important first win. That's a real boost for all concerned. It just puts into your mind that that is what you can achieve, and it always counts. The fact you've beaten a car from the other side of your team garage is also important as well, because the Ferrari 296 GT3 very, very favourably received around the world and gave chase with an equally strong driving crew. But here are the results, and there it is, 0.828 of a second. That was all they needed. That was the margin that Mario Nitta took to the end of the race, being chased hard by the sister car of Yamawaki and Takagi, but it was Lexus over Ferrari for K-Tunes Racing. A third Ferrari taking victory in the GT3 AM class, brought to the finish for Comet Racing by Yusuke Yamasaki. Third place there. Today, Uematsu did it all on his own and was holding third place, but then he had the off-track moment. Don't know what caused that, but he rejoined to finish fourth overall. The GT3 class brought to conclusion by the Run-Up Sports Nissan in fifth place, and then winning the GTC class, Absa Motorsport Ferrari and Masataka Inoue took that one to the finish of the race in sixth overall, ahead of an absolutely fantastic scrap for GT4 honours. And in the end, it was the number 38 Toyota for Wakayama Toyota of Ochiai and Suehiro that just hung on. It was under huge pressure. 1.4 seconds covering the top three cars in that class in a fantastic scrap. GT4 AM was won by Kenji Hama, D-Station Racing. So though they had to change from GT3 to GT4 this weekend, they'll go home with a trophy. Maybe they'll pick up another one tomorrow. And all else got to the finish with the exception of the Bingo Racing Corvette that won the opening two races at Sugo today with a gearbox problem. They got it back to the garage, but not back in the race. Hopefully we'll see them on Sunday for race 2 of the Japan Cup here at Suzuka. So good laps on the board, much learnt. Tyre usage in hot temperatures, certainly they will have all learnt some lessons. But right now, focusing on the podium ceremonies. Just waiting for the drivers to be called out, and certainly some of them will be starting to cool down just a little bit. So we're looking to call the GT3 overall podium here after the first of the 2 Japan Cup races at Suzuka. The second one is tomorrow, Sunday, but the Saturday race victory, we know the winners, we know who was second, but let's introduce you to the team coming up in third place. Comet Racing, out they come. Ferrari crew going up onto the right-hand step of the podium. That's Yorikatsu Sujiko and Yusuke Yamasaki. Then we come to the 2 K-Tunes Racing crews. The Ferrari duo that have sort of came here leading the championship, poles galore. They got put down to 9th on the grid for a misdemeanor in qualifying. They couldn't quite make it back to victory, but a good run from Daisuke Yamawaki and Shinichi Takagi, but for Morio Nitta and Kazunori Suinaga coming out onto the podium, shaking hands in polite fashion, they took victory in the K-Tunes Racing Lexus, and it was a job very well done indeed. It was very tight at the end, 0.8 of a second. And Ken Gukita, Pirelli Motorsport, ahead of Japan here presenting the trophies. Hard fought for. You can just see a little out puff of breath from Comet Racing in their Ferrari. Learning the car as they go, being egged on by Kei Cozzolino, multiple winner in Ferraris here, particularly in Japan. Is now their team's competitions director. But for K-Tunes Racing, well, what an afternoon they've had. Victory with their Lexus and second place. Still smiling faces despite coming second. Their Ferrari crew with Shinichi Takagi, second from the left, heaving a sigh of relief at the end. They had to work hard to get up through the field to second place. So photos taken, a few more photos for the teams down below, and then we will move on to the GT3 AM podium ceremony, which actually will include one of the crews up there. Comet Racing will have to come back because third overall was GT3 AM combo, and Comet Racing will be back for that. We will have two other crews. I'll introduce them shortly, but now the champagne for the overall podium after the first of the two Japan Cup races here at Suzuka. Amazing how many drivers now do the classic thump the champagne magnum down onto the step, and it helps build the pressure and fire the top. If I did that, would drop it, I'm sure. So let's take a look at the standings after 5 races. 2 at Sugo, 2 at Fuji, and just 1 so far at Suzuka. But it's Daisuke Yamawaki and Shinichi Takagi at the top of the chart. Second today, and the team their teammates who won today, Suinaga and Nitta, closing the gap slightly with that victory. They'll grasp everything they can get. Bingo Racing didn't finish the racing, so Shinji Takai down in third overall, along with equal score with Tadeu Uematsu, who finished 4th today, going solo in his McLaren. He'd have been up probably into second of the championship had he not had his off-track moment. Then Comet Racing with their Ferrari holding down 5th place, and we'll see if they can advance from there. Looking on down, we got the Bingo Racing car parked up, but that will be back. So more podium ceremonies coming the way. Let's have a look at the highlights first. Certainly quite a lot happened in the hour of action. The opening Japan Cup race, good start from Bingo Racing, getting their Corvette into the lead of the race and keeping it there ahead of the Comet Racing Ferrari. Third place, even considering a look at second place, was Tadeu Uematsu in his McLaren at this point. The first 3 started to pull clear, but the car that one needed to look for started in 9th. It was the K-Tunes Racing Ferrari, put back because overtaking a car during a yellow flag period. Up front it was fast and furious, and then suddenly just furious if it was Bingo Racing, because the starting driver had no proper drive. Shinji Takai had to limp back a gearbox problem in his Corvette, and that left some the others fighting on the track and his crew trying to fix his car. This was the moment where Comet Racing, unfortunately their driver Yorikatsu Tsujiko guessed the wrong way behind a GT4 car, and we had Tadeu Uematsu sweeping by. Then it was all nice and clean in the pits, clean and clear, and look how close it was. Uematsu coming back out just as the Comet Racing Ferrari, now with Yusuke Yamasaki at the wheel, swept into the lead of the race. But the story of the race was the progress of the 2 K-Tunes racing cars, notably Morio Nitta putting on a phenomenal performance in the Lexus, but as he worked his way onto the tail of the Comet Racing Ferrari, then passed it. Look at that, easy move for him. He knew the sister car was coming. The K-Tunes Racing Ferrari was starting to close in. Soon they were first and second. Almost a slide off the track there as Shinichi Takagi was closing in. Fantastic scrap in GT4, seesawing, but always it was 38 just in front, the Wakayama Toyota, despite everything Wise Racing was throwing with its BMW. But up front, Morio Nitta was chased, closed on, caught, but never passed. 0.8 of a second between them. K-Tunes Racing first and second, but this time it was this car, the Lexus, that took the overall victory. And so hats off tonight to Kazunori Suinaga and Morio Nitta. Join us again tomorrow. So back to the GT3 AM podium. The crew from Run Up Sports on the right-hand side, that's the Nissan crew. Masaki Nishikawa and Tsushi Tanaka, the driver solo. Tadei Uematsu, who was 4th overall, but 3rd overall was good for a second visit to the podium from the crew who've already been up there from Comet Racing, the Ferrari crew. 3rd overall in the race, but winning GT3 AM. Yorikatsu Sujiko and Yusuke Yamasaki. That's why they're on the top step as Ken Gokita of Pirelli Motorsport in Japan presents the trophies. The music rings out, the flags are held by the Nissan crew in 3rd overall, but for Comet Racing, and here's their duo, very happy up on the top step of the podium there. And you can always tell at this point when the driver's on the podium which was the driver who did the second stint of the race. You can see the one that is breathing hard versus the one who's had half an hour and more to cool down. But for Yamasaki and Sujiko, Comet Racing learning as they go, getting used to Ferrari 296 GT3. They'll be back for more tomorrow, and then the final round of Japan Cup will be at Okayama circuit in Western Japan towards the end of August. So they've got a bit of a break. They've had 3 rounds, therefore 6 races across 5 weekends. Just that 2-week gap between each, but then they get the summer break and come back to see who sits where. They've still got one more race here at Suzuka. That's tomorrow, Sunday. So Comet Racing crew looking happy, and camaraderie or a bit of bullying going on the top step, but no, great enterprise and very, very happy crew in hot overalls getting cool champagne poured down their backs. Let's take a look at GT3 AM. The driver who goes solo, Tadei Uematsu, leading quite nicely, but the gap came down because he didn't win the class today after that little off-track moment in his McLaren. But Yusuke Yamasaki and Yorikatsu Sujiko closing in for Comet Racing. And then Run Up Sports, they were 3rd today in class, and they're slightly further back. At Tsushi Tanaka, the better placed their drivers by dint of his results so far this season. But for Team Machina and the McLaren driver Tadei Uematsu, the driver who doesn't do the lion's share, he does all the driving, he drives solo, looking at a very tidy points advantage, 24 points clear after 5 races. And then back to the podium, it's now to the world of GT4, and as pointed out, 1.4 seconds covered the top 3 finishers. In 3rd place and giving chase, but not quite catching up, Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia, Haridamo Manopa, Seita Nonaka. 2nd place goes to Wise Racing BMW crew of Yuki Fuji, Masaki Kano, but with really wacky overalls up onto the stop set. Wakayama Toyota, Toshiyuki Ochai and Takashi Suehiro. They absorbed so much pressure, particularly Suehiro the second part of the race, and it made for great television. And Suehiro was very happy after qualifying, and happy again. Took pole in class, took victory in class, and that is a real accolade for them. First class win for them, and it's one I'm sure they will absolutely relish. And again, when you have multi-class racing, and this is in a GT setting, you sometimes lose the class battle because you look at the overall battle, but in GT4, outright victory was fought between these 6 drivers across the 3 teams, Toyota, BMW and Toyota. And then of course there's GT4 AM as well, but they had such a good scrap, eventually finishing in 7th, 8th and 9th positions. They all work hard for that. There is nowhere to hide on Suzuka circuit. It's a tough circuit, and to race well here is something a lot of people just queue up to try and do. And Toshiyuki Ochai looking particularly excited on the top step of the podium, but Takeshi Suehiro, the driver who brought it home, The young gun did a great job there. So much pressure from Masaki Kano, all resisted. So, as the drivers lead the podium, we've got 2 more podiums to come. We've got GT4 AM to follow, and then GTC. But let's take a look at the GT4 outright graphic for the championship positions. But back to that in a second. So it's been a busy day. It's been a hot day here. And I think all the drivers will have learnt a bit more about their cars and about their tyres and how best to handle them, where best to try and make an overtaking manoeuvre. And again, you've got the mixture of cars. You've got the GT3 cars, you've got GTC, which has performance in between GT3 and GT4. And then you've got the GT4 cars as well. And boy, didn't they put up a good battle. So, GT4 AM, the class in which we had just 2 entries. So second place crew coming out, car number 64, that's JBR with the McLaren, Hiro and Miyu Katayama, but GT4 was won by car 47, D Station Racing, Aston Martin, crew of Tatsuya Hoshino and Kenji Hama. Came here expecting to race another car, that was crashed. They quickly found a GT4 Aston Martin, and as the D Station Racing crews like to do, put on a very, very good job. Finishing 12th to the 14th place of the JBR McLaren crew, who are on the left of your podium there. And Ken Gokita of Pirelli continues to hand out the trophies, but Tatsuya Hoshino looking suitably happy with his victory trophy for D Station Racing Aston Martin. So well done. It's very difficult to adjust to a different car when you expect to race one and have to race another. And that's not the last of those cases, because when we get to the GTC podium, another crew had to change their wheels for this weekend. But don't waste your chance to visit the Suzuka podium without firing off your champagne, and certainly Kenji Hama and Tatsuya Hoshino are going to get tucked straight into that degree of celebration. Unfortunately, doubly blinded. Kenji Hama won't be invited back if he does that to Mr. Hoshino there. If you've never had champagne sprayed into your eyes, it stings like mad, and when it comes under force, it can be a little bit painful as well. You will recover though. Life will go on. And that leaves Amy Izawa to call one more podium, and that will be for the GTC runners. Their car's just out of the background of the shot. And of course, what we have for GTC, we have 2 entries. At last round, we had just the one from Gamma 83 Racing with its solo driver, Makoto Haga. He'll be welcomed out onto the podium. He'll come out in second place, but we have a new winner. SRO Motorsport came here expecting to race one car. It got crashed. They couldn't race that, and they quickly found a Ferrari Challenge, a 488 Challenge car, and it only went and took victory in class. But here comes Makoto Haga, who actually got stuck into the GT4 battle for some while. But SRO Motorsport, Kiwamu Katayama and Masataka Inoue taking victory in the class in their bright yellow 488 Challenge Ferrari. So this is for GTC, and GTC overall victor came 16th overall, and the car that came second in class, Makoto Haga's Porsche, 4 places further back, just behind that GT4 battle, just half a second behind the GT4 battle, in 10th place overall. So there, GT3 podium's done, GT4 podium's done, and now the GTC podium is done. Just this one podium for the GTC class. And congratulations to SRO Motorsport, really adapted very well and did a great job. Kiwamu Katayama and Masataka Inoue And then any driver who goes solo certainly deserves applause, and that's what we can offer Makoto Haga for second place in GTC. Ferrari and Porsche, 2 cars entered, and they finished in that order in GTC. So, day 1 of Japan Cup, tick. We're done at Suzuka. We're coming back to do it all over again tomorrow. Will we have the same result? I really don't think we will. Will we have some great battling? I'm sure we shall. So do make sure you join us. That's it from me, Bruce Jones, today. Come back tomorrow.